Where do you expect your life to be in 5 years? Actually think about it though. Where do you expect your life to be in 5 years? What do you imagine? And then think about what's stopping you from being there right now. It might be external things like money, location, opportunities, right? But also continue to think about where you would like to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. And think about more than just one sentence. Where do I want to be in 5 years? A lot of these things can be external things, right? But if we think about it a little bit deeper, there's a reason why we want to be in that place. If you want to be able to have financial freedom, the reason is because you want to be able to enjoy the things that you're doing without having to worry. If you want to be building a business, the reason is maybe because you want to be following your passion. If you want to be continuing your studies, the reason is because you enjoy learning or because you want to be going towards a career. We can't get these right now, but a lot of the mindsets behind them are things that we can continue, like that we can already apply to our lives today. If I want to have, say, financial freedom, be able to feel like more secure, well, maybe I can start by doing practical things like creating a budget, but also doing mental habits like, well, when I am financially secure, not thinking about any of the external material things, but how will I feel? How will I present myself? How will I act? I will feel comfortable. I will present myself nicely. How will I act? Other questions like this you can continue to ask yourself. And those you can kind of start right now. The mindset behind all of these things that we want, all of these goals in our life, we can start now. And by doing that, we slowly start to believe that the future is possible. Now, this is confusing, and I want to explain it in a way that is hopefully less confusing, right? So I'm going to use my podcast as an example. Years ago, my dream was to be able to build some sort of community, some sort of resource for people to talk about mental health. Years ago, something like a podcast would not have been a feasible option for me. I didn't have a camera. I barely even had a phone when I first started getting this dream. I didn't have a microphone. I didn't know any of this. And I was quite honestly, at the time, struggling with pandas disorder. I did not have the mental capacity to be starting a podcast. I didn't even know that I wanted to start a podcast specifically. I just knew that I wanted to do something. But in that moment, when I decided that I wanted to do something, my life completely shifted because suddenly, everything that I did, not everything, but like my mindset, everything about my mindset became about becoming that person I was striving for, about becoming a better version of me, about getting to know myself more. Because my goal was to create a community, and the only way I could create a community was if I myself was able to learn about mental health, if I myself was able to take care of my own mental health, if I myself was able to take care of myself. So my point in all of this is that no matter what your ultimate goal is, there are habits that you can start now to taking care of yourself. Another goal that I had years ago was to someday be able to live on my own. When I was struggling with panic disorder, I didn't think that I would even be able to live on my own. I thought that I would be dependent on my parents forever. And I got to that goal because I continued to do my best to work on my own independence, to work on myself, to take care of myself, things like that. What you strive for in 5 years, you can begin now. It's like investing, for example. Investing has compound interest. You want to start as early as you can, because if you start 20 years and put a little bit in every month, that is way easier and way more beneficial than putting that same amount in 20 years later, because you're not getting that compound interest. And that's the same thing in your own goals and personal life. You want to start now. If you have a goal in the future that you can't achieve right away in terms of the material aspects, achieve the things you can do, the personal aspects, the who you want to be. Because the more that you take care of yourself and learn about yourself and have this goal in mind, the more you're going to believe that it is possible. And the more you're going to be able to work at making it actually happen. I think a lot of times when we have a goal, we like to think of the idea of it, but we always think of it as far away, and we never really take action to start because we're scared. Any sort of goal in your life that requires you to change is going to be uncomfortable, right? Any goal that you have, it's a goal because you don't have it right now. It means you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to deal with change. So if you truly want it, start that change now. What can you do to start attracting that? What can you do to start becoming the human that you want to be? Using the investing as an example again, I've had people tell me so many times, well, I don't have a good income right now. I'm just a college student. I don't have a stable income. I don't really have the money to be investing right now, or I don't really want to invest right now, so I'm not going to. And I'll wait until later when I have a stable income. And if you truly, truly, truly are only spending money on your necessities, then okay. But I know that we're all spending money on coffee, on tea, things like that. And that's not to say you can't, but maybe take $1 per every cup that you get and set that aside to investments. It might only be $5 or $10 a month, but that's better than zero. The whole point is to start. Because when people actually get to that point where they do have a stable income and want to start investing, they have no idea where to start, and they're still back at square one. And you have to go through the process of learning and trying to figure it out, and then you never actually end up starting, or it takes forever to start because it's overwhelming. So starting can even be as simple as looking into what it requires to actually achieve this thing, what it requires to actually do this goal. The more that you know, and the more that you just begin as much as possible, you're going to be able to do it. Using my podcast as an example again, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had no idea how I was going to do this, but I knew that I wanted to do something out of my passion for talking about mental health and helping people. And so one day I sat down and I recorded a podcast episode, and I had no idea how to do it, but here I am now. If I hadn't sat down and started, I still wouldn't know where to be today. Instead of trying to perfect it, I just started. And I've been perfecting it along the messy process. And now, all of a sudden, it's created this community that's slowly growing. And I'm working with Rare Beauty and working with Selena Gomez to advocate for mental health. That's crazy. It's shocking to me that this has actually happened, and I can still see that there's so much more that's going to happen in the future. There's so much further that this is going to go. What I did in that moment was I immediately thought of myself as a podcaster. Even though I only had 2 people listening, I thought of myself as a podcaster. I talked in the microphone on my phone as if I was talking to the entire world out there. I believed that I was a podcaster, and I became a podcaster. And I think that that is truly the best way to change your life in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years is to start now, to really sit down and think, who is it that I want to be in 5 years? What values do I want to hold in 5 years? How do I want to act in 5 years? What are my beliefs in 5 years? Who am I in 5 years? Not just the physical, what am I doing? What's my career? No, who are you in 5 years? And then start now. Because if you want to actually be that person in 5 years, it's going to be a lot easier to start now and work on it slowly than to try and figure it all out in the few months, days, weeks leading up to it.